Hey guys, I'll be Freeman here. Today we're going to be playing some more HOI4 Kaiserreich mod. Today we're going to be playing as the Dominion of Canada. So let's get right in there. Alright, so Dominion of Canada. So Dominion of Canada is the, I guess, Entente quote unquote major. And I don't know. For my opinion, I'm not really on the. I'm not really sure if like the Dominion of Canada can really be called like a proper major power. Like if you do a comparison between them and like like you saw the Union of Britain when we played, and you saw the Germans and the Commune of France, and there's like a pretty big power differential, and you're going to see that Dominion of Canada in comparison is kind of like a second tier country. And you'll get to that when we go through what they start with. But in any case, Dominion of Canada is the Entente faction leader, and if you'll remember, of course, the Entente, we have the Canadians over here, and they were exiled from Britain after they had their socialist revolution after the peace with honor, and they the British gave up on the First Weltkrieg there. And on their team is the French and Algeria, again, like the legitimate French government that got kicked out for their own socialist revolution. And we've got the other former British holdings. So we've got like the Australasian Union over here, which is like Australia with like New Zealand glued on the side. We've got our part of India, like a little fun-sized slice of India over here, and of course there's also the socialist Indians and the I guess nationalist is how you describe them, nationalist Indians. And we have our presence in the Caribbean with the West Indies Federation as well, and of course our contender for the Italian gangbang is Sardinia over here on their little island. So the Entente is more or less a collection of like the old order that's been forced into exile. And their whole bag of tricks is in the coming storm between the Commune of France and the Reichspakt over here, is that they're going to try and reclaim their home territories. So they're kind of like waiting in the wings, waiting for an opportunity to stab the socialists in the back and then take their land back, and then, like, for later on in the game, like, the Entente has, like, a little bit more spicy gameplay late game than the other factions. And, if you recall, we played as the Reichspakt, we played as, like, Third International. Like, after you kind of, like, won in Europe, like, the rest of the game is, like, hours of cleanup trying to chase down these, like, various factions and, put them down, right? And, like, there's not really much of a game to be had. It's more or less busy work just, like, slapping around these little countries that are like considerably weaker than you are at that point, if we're being honest. And with the Entente, like there's some interesting scenarios you can get in with the Entente. Where like let's say you beat the Third International, right? And you may or may not have gotten all your land back, depending on your war score, and some things that happen in the Weltkrieg too. Like you may have not gotten all your land back, and that's going to set you up for like a position where like now if you want to accomplish your objectives, you're going to have to fight Germany's team after they've already beaten the International, and if they're still here, probably they also beat Russia. So like that's going to be a trick, right? You're gonna have to beat them. And the other kind of scenario is that like you're fighting this war over here, and the Third International kills Germany, and like they get that partition with Russia, right? So you're like, well, we didn't really quite get there in time to accomplish our objective before Germany died. So like now you have to fight this giant block over here. Or like maybe France has like a landing and they're still at war, but they've got something over here, and like maybe manage to kill the Union of Britain, but you still have to kind of clean up. And I've had it before where like France has bounced off, but like I was playing Canada, and you manage to take your islands back, and you kind of wind up with this kind of like similar to our like original timeline D-Day scenario, where you've got like the United Kingdom is back, but France is like still exiled in Africa, and this whole block is controlled by like your extremist faction in Europe. And there's of course the Russians over here, but they're not going to help you like they do in our timeline, so you're kind of on your own. So the late game for the Entente's a little bit more spicy, but and if you'll notice, like the other thing with like the Entente too is like they're pretty spread out. So like I imagine if like you're playing a multiplayer game or something, you have like a coordinated team effort, the Entente would probably be pretty powerful. But in single player, like you saw, we were playing Union of Britain. Like the Entente did nothing all game. All it did was bounce off of the Iberian Federation, have failed naval invasions until we went around and killed them, right? Like we didn't even kill National France in that game. They like declared war in Morocco and lost to the fucking Cairo Pact, right? Like the Entente AI has like some severe problems, and that's like one of the things you have to deal with as a Dominion of Canada is like, you never know what's going to happen. You got your fingers in a whole lot of places. You can kind of get dragged around and have to modify your plans accordingly. Like, you don't know when this war for unification is going to start off, and that can be a bit of a spoiler. Like, if you're trying to do volunteers over here in America, and the Dominion of India gets stuck in their unification war, then like you want to go help them because you don't want to lose India. That'd be like really bad for you. So you have to make sure they win that war. Or like over here, like the West Indies Union could rebel, and you have to go and put that down. There are also West Indies Union is like in a pretty hot spot, right? Like I think when you start the Second World Creek, Venezuela and Brazil get the opportunity to try and backstab them for like this land over here, like respectively. So you can get like stuck in Caribbean entanglements, and then there's like the war in India can kind of like get you as well, and then the Australasians, they could flip on you too, and then you have to help New Zealand take back the Australasians from the syndicalists, and then also the Crow Prosperity Sphere, they can set your sights on Australasia too and come at you, and you have to fight in the Pacific theater. So there's like a lot of stuff going on as Canada, and your allies aren't necessarily accommodating, and they'll do stupid things like you're trying to fight in India, and then France decides, hey, now's a great time to declare war on the commune and pull you into Wild Creek too, but like you're not done over here. So like there's like a whole lot going on, and you just have to roll with it. It's kind of like you're stuck on the short bus, and you have to see the way that things go. So like that's like the geopolitical situation with the Entente, right? It's like you're trying to you see what happens. Your objective is to retake your home island over here, and you're just kind of waiting for like the best opportunity to make that happen. So hopefully we'll have a good game. Like the Entente's like I find to be one of those factions that like any Entente nation, where like your game can kind of change pretty dramatically depending on the kind of flips that you get. So starting position for the Entente, we're in volunteer only, and you'll notice that we cannot increase our conscription law. Not allowed. And that's kind of one of Canada's main things that you're going to have to deal with. Export focus, trade law, like again, pretty much everyone's, like there are exceptions, but most people start in export focus. And of course, we're on toaster economy. So again, most people start in toaster economy. We got kind of lucky, like you're playing with like maybe not lucky, but you get a little bit spoiled when you're playing as the International faction to start in partial mode. But in Canada, we're on toaster economy, which of course gives us debuffs to factory construction and oil gain, and we have to pay a lot of consumer goods tax and so on and so forth. Government, this guy costs you a bit of political power, but he gives you stability and more support. This guy gives you political power. This guy eats up some political power, but he gives you, quite nice bonuses to like a lot of stuff, like military factories, infrastructure, dockyards, and production efficiency caps. Like that's quite nice. And then you get this guy over here who's more construction speed and political power. So like overall, this is like a pretty good government. Like you lose some political power, you get some political power, but like the bonuses that you're getting for stability and construction and production efficiency are like pretty solid bonuses. Like I'd say like out of the countries that we've played so far, this is probably like one of the strongest starting government that you get. So our party here is Liberal Party, 42%. We're playing market liberals, and as a Democratic faction, we do have elections on a set schedule, and our first election is coming up October 1936. Occupied territories, we do, I guess, nominally occupy Quebec, but they don't resist, so there's that. And then we have one puppet in the West Indies Federation, so it's nice to have puppets. You can trade for them cheaply, and West Indies Federation has a lot of aluminum, which can be relevant, and also a little bit of oil. And then you can request their forces and control them. So they're a lot more reliable than your allies are, anyways, because you can like take the troops and directly control them. National spirits, we have Anglo-French tensions, and this is like another thing that's kind of tied into your conscription thing. And this is like a pretty bad one where it costs you a bunch of political power and you lose stability. And then you also have Black Monday Jr., which is 20% consumer goods and like pretty rough hits to your construction speed and factory output. So that sucks pretty hard. And up top, political power change 1.59. So again, that's pretty low, and like we're hitting like this hurts us a lot for that, plus 0.3. And average political popularity or political party popularity, average stability, pretty average war support, and pretty low manpower. And like when we go over army, you'll see like you don't really have much in the field as it is, and like you pretty much have like maybe a couple divisions worth waiting in the wings. Like this is not a lot. And then again with the conscription law population, then Yeah, we'll get into that when we look at the focus tree. Factories, 43 factories, and I think Canada is like it's like a sub 70 building slot. Like it's kind of around 70 building slots total. So uh, pretty tiny economy. Like 43 factories is like again for a major, and I think you're playing Commune de France. I think that was the lowest one we had, and that was like 60 something, right? So 43 factories is not great for a major, anyways. I mean, it's a lot more than like a non-major, quote unquote, would get. Fuel, we only have like 2 oil, like a piddly amount of oil, and our base fuel capacity is only 78.6K. So like Canada's another country that's like gonna have fuel problems, but because of like their position that they're in the world, it's like not as dire as for the international factions. Like there's like a lot of oil in Venezuela. Uh, and once the war starts, you have borders with them. Like you could just declare on them after Well Creek 2 starts if you wanted to, or like you might not even have to. They might declare war on West Indies Federation. You can just go and kill them, or you could just let them be. And you have bases in the Caribbean. You've got like this island over here. I mean, it's pretty easy to get escorts set up over here and then you can like pretty much import whatever you want from South America. There's oil, there's aluminum over here. We might have some other stuff. Like Brazil has a lot of rubber too, right? So. Naval trade isn't as like jarring of a prospect or as precarious of a prospect as Canada. You have like a decent navy to begin with, and one of the Entente's major advantages is like you saw they were spread out, which is like a disadvantage for coordinating war goals and whatnot. But like in terms of like the ports that you have access to, you can have quite nice naval coverage for escorting convoys as the Entente. 250 convoys and like the usual starting 0 experience. So. That's that. So one of the things you're going to notice when you play the Entente is like, or not the Entente, but Canada in general is like everything that everyone else gets for free, you get punished for. Like you want to raise your conscription law, you're going to have to deal with that, right? Like you have to go through like this event for Bill C7. And the Quebecois, they're a bunch of filthy French traitors. They're practically closet syndicalists. They don't want to fight for your war. They don't care about reclaiming the birthright. So. If you try and go to extensive conscription, you're going to have to deal with Quebec enclaves. So they're going to be angry about that. They're going to break your factories, and you're going to have to spend more than a year and a bunch of political power and focuses trying to deal with that. So you want to up your conscription law, you're going to get punished, right? And then, like, you come over here for the economy tree, you look down here, you're going to have, like, you don't get factories, except for, like, the very bottom. You don't get factories. You get these decisions to build crown corporations. So you want a factory from your focus tree, you're paying 25 political power, and you're losing. You have to pay 3 factories tax for I think I think it's 90 days or something like that before you'll get that factory. It's like again, like other people's national focuses, you want some factories from your focus tree, you get those, but here you get punished, you got to pay for it. So that kind of sucks. And just stuff like that, right? It's you gotta. They're always taken from you when you're trying to get stuff. Like this over here, they give you economic relief camps, construction speed bonus 10%. That's pretty good. And if you'll remember, we had you get a similar bonus as Commune de France. They just get that. But here, if you want to keep this bonus, you can get events. It's going to cost you stability and political power and all this and that to keep that bonus. So just a whole lot of bullshit to deal with as Canada. So we'll go through this focus tree later. Go for our decisions. So decisions, you have this is like your war goal decision, and to get this, you have to have completed Project Plow, and also control all your states. So Project Plow is like this focus down here on your military tree, and this also gives you some marine technology bonus. So that's all right. And this will let you declare war on Union of Britain. So that's you also get an event, I believe, like if the Third International is at war and the Union of Britain's at war with Germany, like you'll get an event to just go and backstab them. But if you're trying for like a rush or something like that, or you want to do it early, or whatever happens, you can use that decision. You've completed that focus to go and do that. So it's nice that you have that available as like a fail-safe. You're gonna get these unique influence of the monarchy decisions, and I know this used to be important for going paternal autocrat. You had to be careful in how you use your exiles to keep their popularity high, so that you could actually go and assert your royal prerogatives and become paternal autocrat. But I mean, this route, we talked about how manual justification is it's dead now. So as a result, it's kind of pretty pointless to be producing a lot of carrot. And like, there's no real reason to like go and do that now, like, compared to like the other trees, and like you're gonna not be as popular and have political power, like a lower political power gain if you do that. So why bother, right? And you can use like this direct the exile decision. Like, you can click this, you get to do it every year, and you can have like the exile population, which are the loyalists that came back over from Britain. You can have them help you out in various ways. They can get you some free off-map factories, or they can help you gain political power, or they can kind of fix these popularity things for you. So if you don't have to worry about their popularity, you can just have them like build a factory for you, instead, like, faster, right? So I mean, it's nice that you get that. I mean, you don't get free factories from your focus tree except to like at the very end. So it's nice that you can get a free factory here. And the political power does help too if you decide to go with like building all these factories. And like, I mean, it's still better than just straight up building them. So if you want to take these decisions, and like you get punished for these resource decisions too, it's the same thing. You got to pay factory tax for it. You got to pay political power for it. And they don't tell you this on here, but also you need like excavation 2 and 3 technology to like actually even do these things. So you click this, thinking it's gonna help your resources, and you're like, oh, didn't research excavation 2 or 3, so you're gonna get fucked. And that's like, again, another spoiler. So it's like, that's pretty frustrating to deal with. But like, all this stuff costs you political power, and you can direct them to support your government and get more political power. So I mean, that's helpful, right? So I mean, this is like it's nice that you get that. And this other stuff is like, you can help fix your party popularity, and you can do like, I think these are all like stability and like war support. Like, you can go and help them out. And whichever country you visit, it's going to get some buffs. Like, I think it'll say, I think it says somewhere on this card what it does. Preparing support for the invade, engineering some goodwill from the French government. Yeah, stability, war support, mobilization speed, and army morale for a full year. So I mean, you can pass out those buffs, and like they depend on like how popular your ruler is. So I mean, like, you're paying 50 political power for it, and it's not like, it's not that strategically important, I don't think. But they're nice flavor events that you get. Suppress the exiles. This is going to reduce your war support and like decrease exile popularity. Like, and I'm not really sure why you'd want to do this. Like, I think it might have something to do with there's like this last focus over here where like, if you decide you want to stay as Canada and separate, then I think that requires you to have no, that's the king's popularity though. So like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you would ever want to do that. But there's probably something around there somewhere. I just haven't figured it out yet. But straight up, that seems like you're playing 50 political power to like fuck yourself over. You get the usual propaganda decisions, and then you get like the legation council stuff. We don't have voting rights on the legation council. You just get to kind of see what's going on, unfortunately. Spy agency. We don't start with a spy agency, but you can get one if you go over here and like in the same like kind of like, this is like your invasion preparations route in the army tree, and you can get the establish a special branch, and that'll give you the free spy agency. Researches. So Canada starts out, you get the 1936 guns, you get motorized, you got Marines and Mountaineers, so pretty standard fare for major power. Support companies, you get shovels, you get recon, and you get military police. So I think this is pretty much as good as it's going to get for your starting tech. Like, you get military police. I don't think anyone in the game gets any of the other support companies. So I think this is like the most you can get to start. Armor, you get light tanks, you get heavy tanks, and again, pretty standard fare for major power. Artillery, and once again, you get artillery and anti-air. So I think anti-air has been present like most of these majors we've been playing. I think that might have just been like handed out. It used to not start with anti-air in a lot of people, so that's it's nice that you get that if you want it. Land doctrine, no land doctrine, and if you look under focus tree, like the bonuses that you're going to get are mobile warfare and superior firepower. Although it is only one bonus, but probably you're going to want to pick one of those two. Ship design, so it's like pretty similar to the Union of Britain. You got start with sonar, which is nice. Again, that's one of the ones that like not a lot of people start with. 1936 ship hulls. You have the revived armored cruiser and the dreadnought researched. You have all the submarines up to the current year, and mines and transports. Naval doctrine, you have no naval doctrine here. And I believe, like, if you look on the focus tree, I'm pretty sure you can just pick whatever doctrine you want. Yeah, so you're not restricted in naval doctrine. Air for Canada is quite good. You're going to have all your current planes except for the heavy fighter and the scout plane. And if you've watched some of my previous videos, you can know that like the heavy fighter, like I'm not like a huge fan of the heavy fighter to begin with. They have lots of range, but their agility is bad, which means they're going to lose to like your standard fighters. So usually it's better to just get a standard fighter and increase the range as your variant. Because like when we're invading though, like you might have considered the heavy fighter, you might still want to consider the heavy fighter. Because like when you're doing a naval invasion or whatnot, like you might not have range, but like then again, I'm not sure if you'd even be able to get range from like Spaniard ports. You'll be able to even support your naval invasion anyway. You might just be stuck not having air unless you get Ireland. So I don't know. I mean, I would still just pass on the heavy fighters. Air doctrine, you have no air doctrine, and I believe air again is open for us. Yeah, 2 bonuses for air doctrine. So whatever air doctrine you want, you can take. Engineering, you start off with the electromechanical engineering, like all the other majors we've played so far. So it's nice we get that first tech. And industry, all we get is fuel storage. So it's better than some countries don't get fuel storage; you get nothing. But we don't get refineries or fuel refining. So I mean that's not as strong as some of the other countries we've played so far. Diplomacy. So we got our faction mates over here. They like us a lot. We've got to pop in the West Indies Federation, and like a lot of people, we're also going to have military access and guarantee independence. Or we're not guaranteeing their independence. We have a non-aggression pact with them. For the legation cities, and again, those are like these little internationally controlled cities in China. And then we have like based on your alignment, we got good relations with a lot of people. And then we have kind of shitty relations with like a bunch of other people, like particularly the Internationale and the Germans aren't going to like us. Yeah, of course we hate the fucking Union of Britain, right? I mean that makes perfect sense. Trade, and again here you compare Canada to the other majors, and Canada gets a shaft for fucking natural resources, man. I mean, like look at this, you get like 26 aluminum, which is like that's not that much compared to like the other countries we were playing, right? You get like a little bit of oil, and here's like your major problem here is like you've got like practically no steel. You got like 12 steel. Like that's pretty bad. No tungsten, no chromium. And like you'll notice when we look onto our production tab, like we have like a pretty substantial steel deficit. Negative 13 you see here, and like we haven't even set up our naval dockyards yet. So, and combined with like your low factory counts, like your and you start with Black Monday Junior, so it's like your economy is like pretty shit right out the gate. Unfortunately. Construction, like I'm just gonna go ahead and queue up some silos here. I'll do that. We'll build 10 fuel silos. Like, we do have like a navy we have to deal with, so you're gonna want some fuel storage, and depending on oil availability too. Like other people are gonna want to trade. Like even if we do have like safe trade for oil, we might not have high enough trade influence to get like all of it. So it's always good to have like a stockpile. It makes yourself a lot more consistent on the oil front. And after that, we'll build a bunch of civilian factories. And you gotta be careful if like you decide you want to build in Quebec, because as like you might have gandered there, like Quebec might riot if you want to increase your conscription laws, and then of course, if you built all your factories there and they all get broken in the riots, that's unfortunate for you. Production. I'm not gonna build any of these planes. So I think for production, we're just gonna go for like guns and light tanks for the moment. Do 1 artillery, 1 support equipment. None of these. And like this is glitched out on me again, so like that's like this is super annoying because like you can't see when it does this. You can't see what's up there. So I don't know. Nothing I can do about that. I have to like restart the game, and like we're pretty early on in the video, so I guess we'll just have to remember there's one artillery up there, and might also want to get like an in-the-air gun, something like that. So, you know, and again, like when you look at your invasion route, like when you're trying to actually reclaim the home islands, like your for sure flips is like Portugal always joins the Entente. It's like at the bare minimum, you're gonna have Portugal as like an invasion point, and then you could also potentially get the Norwegians might join your team, the Dutch can join your team, Belgium can join your team. I think Denmark can join your team. I think I've seen them on the Entente before. I'm not entirely sure about that one though. Ireland, there's like an event chain with the Union of Britain where you can like try and guarantee their independence, and they might drag you into an early war, but then you'd have Ireland as a staging point, which is quite convenient in terms of its naval proximity for an invasion in the Union of Britain. And then also, if you like help the Carlists win, you'd have Carlist Spain if they join your team, which they usually do as like an invasion point. So unless you get Ireland, you're not necessarily going to have an air base that's going to give you good coverage for like these invasions anyways. So like from my perspective, if like your whole point is to like take back these islands, and like you don't want to invest too heavily into air, and like you're better off like building anti-air for that kind of stuff. Just try and contest their fighters, since you're not going to really have like a good angle to get your planes in there. So we'll go with this, and then we have some dockyards. So convoys, we'll build a few convoys, and then you're going to want like destroyers, usually pretty good to build, and then also like for submarines. Do you want any submarines? I think we'll just go with destroyers. I think for trade, we're going to try and like we probably should trade with again, because we're at negative 29 steel. It's like pretty bad, pretty rough deficit. We'll trade one with the Australasians. They're on our team. And the French Republic also, I think, has some steel. Yeah, here they are. Try and trade 2 to the French Republic. That'll give us 24, and then let's see, one more. Like I don't know. Like sometimes the Greeks will join your team, so like we'll trade with them. The Entente's like kind of like the Internationale, and that you can get like, depending on how things play out, you can get like a whole lot of flips for people that join your team. And you also kind of got to be a little bit careful about who you accept too, because like a lot of those guys can like bring baggage and spread you out. And like sometimes again, like the AI is not necessarily the greatest at choosing its fights and whatnot. So they get called to arms, and then you're fighting over here against Japan, and they send all their troops over here to start garrisoning some islands, and they're not helping out over here. Stuff like that can happen. Or India decides to pick a fight, and they pull all the troops over here to fight in India, and you're still busy over here. I mean, that can be a little bit frustrating. So I mean, there's that. And recruit and deploy. So let's look at our templates. So you got militia brigade, and this is like probably the worst template in the game. And like unfortunately, when I'll show you our army, you'll find out that we start with like a whole bunch of these units. I mean, like this template is like almost insultingly bad that they even consider giving this to a major. Like frankly, to be honest, this is like even like the three battalion infantry units you get when you're playing some like impoverished Central American dictator. At least they're regular infantry and not fucking militia, right? And this is absolute dog shit tier. You never want these to fight in like an actual battle, and like this is like even questionable value as a port garrison. I mean, soft attack 9. Like, are you fucking kidding me, right? And like, look at this. Like, even like a bog standard infantry unit here is gonna have like breakthrough 30, and they're just gonna completely beat the shit out of this unit. Like, even with like a pretty harsh like naval invasion penalty, right? So, I mean, this is pretty fucking awful. This over here is like a pretty fugly one, like 6-1. I mean, it's kind of like you could turn this into a 7-2 pretty cheaply, and you already get engineers, so okay. But even then, it's questionable as to like the thing with the 7-2 is like a lot of people like the 7-2, but like a 7-2 is not going to be able to beat a 10-0 like a 7-2 attacking into a 10-0 won't win, and a 10-0 attacking into a 7-2 won't win. And the 7-2 is more expensive, right? So if you're looking at like what is the purpose of our infantry, and the purpose of your infantry is going to be like usually to hold your line and provide like that organization wall, the high defense value to like kind of hold the enemy in place while you encircle them and kill them with your tanks is kind of like usually how you want to play the game. Of course, sometimes early you have to fight with infantry. You don't have a choice. Like if you're playing like the American Civil War or whatnot, like you're gonna have to make do with what you have for like those really early conflicts. But if you're preparing and like you're building your army for like the Well Creek 2, that's more or less the role of your infantry, right? Is you're going to be defending and like you're blocking enemy movements more or less. And if a 7-2 can't push out a 10-0 and it's more expensive, then like why bother, right? Like why bother spending the extra production on artillery? And artillery, again, that's like the guns are useful for your armored units, and you're going to have those anyways because you're going to have infantry. But if you decide you want to rely heavily on artillery, and this is like another line of research you're going to have to take, right? And then we also have no tungstens. Like if you wanted to build artillery, you'd have to also import tungstens. Like not only paying the military factory cost to build artillery, you're also paying the civilian factory cost to like get the tungsten to make the artillery as well. So it's like pretty questionable. And like the advantage of having the 7-2 over the 10-0 is that the 7-2 is going to have like slightly higher soft attack. They're going to have a little bit worse terrain modifiers and like a little bit worse organization, but they will have higher soft attack. And but mainly they're going to cost less manpower for a 20 width, right? Like artillery are going to take less manpower for a 20 width than like a 10-0. But they come with all the extra baggage that we were talking about. So even if you're playing a country like Canada that has like manpower concerns, like I mean, with the manpower as dire as it is for Canada, like yeah, okay, maybe it's fair to consider a 7-2 instead of a 10-0, but like even then, right? Even then, your industry is like, you'd rather be making tanks probably at that point. So there's that. This division over here is like, again, it's like that same pseudo space marine division we had as Union Britain and Germany. So it's 18 with infantry with like a tank stuck on the side. And this is like, if you're going to attack with something, you have to attack with infantry. You throw a tank in there, at least it gets you some breakthroughs, so you're going to take not quite as bad of a beating when you're pushing, and it also increases your soft attack a bit. So I'm not sure if I would ever use these. Like I wouldn't plan to use something like this in like a late game combat, but if you have to send something as volunteers, that's like a reasonable template to use. Or if you're fighting like a really early war, then that might be something. Like this kind of idea here with like the mixed infantry and tanks isn't too bad. Let's change that. And like this guy over here, I'll go with the explodey symbol. That's what I usually use for like the 7-2s and derivatives. Infantry Division 2 is like your basic 18 width support artillery standard template that everyone starts with, and like this is one of the ones that it's like you love to see it, right? It's like a familiar friend, and it's probably what we're gonna go with for most of our infantry. We'll build off this template. We'll get the engineers and like the extra guy here, and that'll be fine. RCMP Brigade. So again, this is like another unit. Like you never want to fight with this in combat, but you have MP, and it's like reasonable MP to horse ratio. So I mean, this is like pretty good for a garrison unit. So it's nice that you have the template, but unfortunately, it's not really a unit that you actually want to fight with. Kind of like same with this, right? Like it's an 8 width template. So and again, like when you look at your combat stats, like every point of attack they hit you with that's over your breakthrough is 4 times more likely to damage you. So these like little itty bitty units with these like small breakthrough stats are going to get torn up. Right, like you look at like a division, like a standard infantry division, 69 attack. And this is only 20.7 breakthrough. It's like you're going to take quite a bit more damage. So like, even attacking with this is pretty bad with 30 breakthrough, but gee willikers, right? Like this again, it's like not really a combat suitable unit. Like these little itty bitty units, like because you're on 1936 guns, and 1936 guns are like a lot better than the 1918 guns. They're like, you look at your soft attack, 3.6. They're like almost twice as good as like your 1918 guns. So like, if you're fighting like really poor countries that don't have up-to-date guns, and like maybe you can get away with shit like this, but like, by and large, that's not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. Motorized Brigade. This is like another one, right? It's like itty bitty armored unit, only 10 width, only 1 tank. not really suitable for combat. You'd have to like modify it and whatnot. So again, like not great. And garrison, so again, that's like manpower. You have manpower problems in Canada, so like maybe instead of sticking like a standard division on like your ports or whatnot, you might want to use like a 12 with garrison instead. I mean, like this is like a lot more reasonable than using like a 3 with militia, or like a 6 with militia. That's gonna probably do nothing. This at least has like a fighting chance if your enemy has like an amphibious penalty and you've got like, and you're in good terrain and whatnot. So. Still not something you're going to want to be fighting with, but like for like guarding a port, yeah, sure, okay, fine. That's fine. And then the armor division, this is like your bog standard default armor division that everyone gets, 12 width. Not a great template, but it's like the default one. It's not worse than anyone else's starting template. Except for like the Commune of France has like that really nice template that we had, and I think the Germans have like a Panzer division that's like slightly better than this. It's like 4 tanks and 2 motorized and some support companies, but I mean it's pretty similar. So that's the templates and logistics. Again, we don't really have an appreciable stockpile of anything as Canada. Let's take a look at our army here. All right, so we have 18 divisions total, which isn't a whole lot for a major. Alright, so what we got here? We got 6 units of like that complete dog shit template with 3 militia, right? So like unfortunately 18 units, 1/3 of them right away are this like complete trash template. So I mean that sucks pretty fucking hard. You have 5 units of that kind of fugly 15 width template. You have 3 units of the RCMP brigade, which like I said, though, you don't really want this to be in the field. It's not really suitable for combat. And you got these guys over here, again, the Marines, like not really suitable for combat against like most developed countries. And like 2 units of that like 10 with itty bitty motorized unit. So like your army, like and even these are like not a 20 width line, they're 15 width, right? Like they're a bit off of being like a decent line infantry unit. But like even then, like of all the shit that you get, like you only really have 5 units that are like kind of close to being like, yeah, okay, I'd stick this on the front line in war, and that would be acceptable. So like your army is like pretty rough. Like this is like compared to all the other countries we've looked at so far and that we've played, this is like god awful to your army. It's like it's so bad, but it's what you have to live with when you're playing as as Canada. Air Force, so again, your Air Force is not that great. You have like your carrier planes. You have 50 tactical bombers, 25 strategic bombers, and 100 fighters. And these are like all those old, obsolete like indoor planes that most people start with. But 25 strategic bombers is you're gonna need a lot more than 25 strategic bombers to have like a successful strategic bombing campaign. So that's another one where it's kind of like, why bother? And like I usually like to disband my Air Force, and then when we do volunteers, you can send them our interwar planes, and they can support them. That'll be fine. Our Navy, again, I'll merge the Navy together, and we can go in and take a look at them. And our Navy by far is like the best military branch for the Canadians. Like it's probably not better than the U of B Navy, but like it's still a pretty decent Navy compared to its contemporaries, right? Like Germany's gonna have a bigger Navy, Union Britain's gonna have a bigger Navy, but like after that, like I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like Japan might have a large Navy too, actually. But like after that, it's probably Canada, and like a lot of your buddies over here too. Like I think the Nationalist France has like a decent Navy. I think the Australasians can get like a decent Navy too. So it's like the Entente has like a pretty okay Navy. And which is good because like they're going to be a naval invasion faction that requires you to at least think about your navy, so that you don't get all your shit killed trying to naval invade. You're gonna need supremacy. So a lot of those guys merge together. So national focuses and whatnot. So over here you're gonna have. You'll notice we can't take a national focus right now. And pretty soon after the game starts, our boy King George V is going to die. And then once he's dead, you're going to get Edward. He's going to give a speech, and then that's going to kick you off for your national focus tree, right? So over here, it's like our pretty tiny political branch, and you're going to get these couple events over here, and you're going to draft Bill C7. And all these are going to give you some choices. Well, this one won't, but these two over here, the Senate and the Privy Council, will give you some choices, and you'll also get choices in the King's Speech. And there are kind of like three ways you can go. You can support the existing government, which is the market liberals, and they're anti-conscription, and they're kind of this is like an afterthought for them. Retaking the home islands, they're more concerned with domestic politics and like the health of Canada. Then you're also going to have the social conservatives under a guy named Bennett. The liberals, Mackenzie King. The opposing guy is going to be Bennett, and he's more of like a war hawk, and he's all about supporting the exiles and reclaiming the the islands over here, and he supports extensive conscription. So that's that. And the other option is you're going to want to support the king's autocratic tendencies. And that'll say you have to become paternal autocrat. But like I mentioned, there's like not really a whole lot of benefit for doing that. So like unless you're doing it because like you really feel like playing an ideology that's not stupid, then okay, yeah, then you can go paternal autocracy. But like gameplay wise, and again, there's not like a whole lot of reason to do that. The Imperial Conference is kind of like the Entente's version of like those socialist events where they have like their international meetings. So you can get your guys together, and they'll get to pick off a list of buffs that they want, and you'll get to pick whether or not you want to support them more or yourself more, and you'll get some nice buffs for that. So unlike the socialist ones, it's not just flavor. You do get some like decent buffs off this event, but you also have to pay a natty focus for it. So there's that. And then draft Bill C7 is kind of like your, like we had when we were playing Union of Britain and we played in France. They have like their initial like kind of election where you kind of set up your government and your economy and what you want to do. And this is sort of like that, except like instead of picking your government's already decided in the election, but they draft this bill and you can pick like which policies you want to pursue. And if you picked like market liberals or the Tories, you'll get their option and also the compromise, right? It's like liberals can pick like the liberal choice or the liberal Tory compromise. Tories can pick like the Tory choice or the Tory liberal compromise for like a couple of the options. So you'll get that. And there are some nice bonuses you get off this too, but it is a 70-day focus, and like a lot of these other ones are 42. And then you have Quebec in Flames. So if you decide to go extensive conscription, you'll get the option to get free extensive conscription when you do Bill C7. You decide, yeah, I want to have extensive conscription, then you're gonna trigger Quebec in Flames. If you decide not to do that and like go to like one of the lower levels of conscription or stay a volunteer only, you're gonna get a corresponding buff if you go volunteer only, like a buff to your organization. And I don't think the Quebecois riot, if you pick limited, like I did it once to see what it did, but I can't quite remember what the outcome was. But I don't think they riot. I think it just costs you like some political power and they're not happy about it, but they're not going to burn your shit down unless you pick extensive. If I remember correctly, don't hold me to that. This is like a Let's Play, not a fucking country guide. So there's that. You click that, and you're gonna have to deal with Quebec in Flames if you choose extensive conscription. If you don't, you'll have a decision to up your conscription law after the war starts. But if you do that, that's also gonna trigger Quebec in Flames, and that's gonna cause you to have rioting in Quebec, which are some of your better provinces. So it's not great. That does hurt your economy if they decide to riot. So, keep that in mind. To deal with that, you're going to have to, like, suppress the Quebecois. I think the market liberals, you can, like, pay some political power instead and whatnot. But otherwise, you'd be, like, suppressing them. If you go market liberal and you decide to, like, betray your party platform and implement conscription, it's going to cost you some political power. Like, that's, like, they don't give you that shit for free. They're going to accuse you of being, like, a filthy traitor. And especially if you pick like the coalition ticket when they have a coalition with like some other socialist party, it hurts. Like they're going to suck your political power right out from under you if you decide to do extensive conscription. And like if you look over here, it's going to cost you 100 political power to do that. It's like you're going to be like in the red for political power for like quite a bit. And that is a problem because if you remember, like if you want to actually develop your economy, that's going to cost you political power. So again, most countries get to just pick that law for free, and here you're going to have to play this whole dumb game for it. So that's what you get when you play Canada. If you decide to do it the other way, with either the War Measures Act or the conservative way, you're just gonna like send the cops in there and like beat the shit out of the protesters, and it's gonna cost you some political power, and it's gonna cost you a little bit more than a year total to clear the riots out. You'll get like decisions to like go and send your guys in to fight the protesters, and it'll take you more than a year and a bunch of political power to do that. Less political power probably total than like all this stuff, or at least you don't have to pay it all up front, and then you'll clear that, and these will start reducing the negative impact of your Anglo-French tensions as well. If you choose not to implement conscription, then the Quebecois will be pretty happy about that, and like this will just go away for free if you choose to say I'm volunteer only. So like those are your choices to deal with conscription. Economy law. So again, like you can get a bunch of these decisions to build factories for like I guess a reduced cost would be the best way to describe that, because it's not free, right? And some of these are going to fix your Great Depression, and you're going to get hit again by more Great Depression too when Black Monday happens. So it's not like you're just stuck with Black Monday Junior. Black Monday is going to come around and it's going to fuck you over again. So there's that. And like these will help you clear that. This will give you that economic relief camp. So you get a construction bonus. Like again, you have to, if you want to keep that bonus, there's going to be events you're going to have to deal with, and you're going to get some researches. Now this one over here, the IEDC, you do this, you're going to get 50 political power, and then you get to become the head of the IEDC, which gives you a negative 5% consumer goods. And remember, that's money to have. And not quite as great for us because our economy is kind of itty bitty, but still pretty good to have negative 5% consumer goods. This political power that you see here, like, it's a bit misleading because that 50 political power gets sucked up as soon as that event happens, and it's going to get stuck in the IEDC bank. And the way the IEDC bank works is that anyone who's in your faction, you can invite to join the IEDC, and every year you're going to have the option to pay political power, and you'll have like how much political power do you want to pay. And then as Canada, as leader of the IEDC, you'll get a list of all the members, and like you'll get everyone's contributions, and you can pay 100 political power and assign someone to get IEDC benefits for that year. And I think you can only pick one person once each year. Like you can't like double up. It'd be one person can only receive that benefit once per year, but it's going to give them like a free factory. So it's nice that you get that, and like you're also going to have the people in the IEDC also get like a buff every year too, I believe as well. You can like choose to have the IEDC advisors like work on your dockyards or construction speed or factory output. So this is like a pretty nice focus, and it's again more flavor, more things to click on. So that's all right. ISAC is your tech sharing faction. This is your extra research slot. We kind of talked about these. It's like this will help you develop your resources, but you have to have excavation 1 and 2, and it's going to cost you. These will unlock other companies. You get some more building slots over here, and building slots are like kind of like a premium for Canada. You need more slots because you're going to run out pretty quickly. And like there are a couple of these too that you get in here, which gives you a technology, so you can get synthetic oil experiments for free. You can get radio detection for free from this one, like your first radar tech, and you can get radio for free with this one. Now, this is kind of awkward because it's like you don't get this doesn't convert into a bonus if you already researched radio. So if you already have radio, then it's like just diluting the value of these focuses. So you watch out for that, right? And then you also get some. This is a nice one over here too. It gives you 3 bonuses for electronics. I think this focus also unlocks your civilian factory construction industrial company as well. It doesn't say that here, but I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, 3 bonuses for electronics is quite nice. It could be like radar, and again, if you're playing Navy and Air, radar is nice to have. Or it could be like research computers. And this is like a little bit of a fixer for your stability, and 10% research speed is quite nice. It's a pretty big buff for that. And then you'll get your choice at the end whether or not you want 3 free dockyards, 3 free mills, or 3 free civies. So you go through all this, and then finally you can get some free fucking factories, right? Thanks. So that's your economy tree. Like overall, this is like, it just really sucks that you have to pay for all this stuff. It slows you down, and it's and like given the political power, you can get a lot of political power as Canada, but the fact that it sucks your existing civies out. It's just like, as a major, this is like a really clunky tree. But the IEDC is pretty nice. The research slot's not too far down the trees. You get that pretty fast. And like there are a few other nice buffs in here, but Like overall, like compared to the economy trees, you're gonna get is like France or like the Union Britain or other things. Like this is like a pretty weak economy tree, in my opinion. So Air Force, and like what you're gonna notice about these is like you're gonna get a free chief of army, free chief of air, and a free chief of your navy, like for free when you take these events. So I mean that's pretty nice. And I think taking this one too, like if you come down over here, you're gonna get one of these anyways to give you an event for Billy Bishop, who's like a World War One ace in our timeline, and he'll give you like the opportunity to pay some manpower and I think some political power, and he'll get you you'll be able to get a free 100% research bonus for an air doctrine or a plane if you do that. So I mean that's nice. I'm not sure which one of these triggers it. It might be this one, but you'll get that event later. And then you're gonna get some production cost debuff or construction cost buffs. So like this is like a pretty nice, air research speed 10% and production cost negative 10% all your planes. Like this is like really strong, and you get it pretty fast. And you get some radar. This is like again like a nice national spirit to have on top air training plan. This is like extremely nice to get, and 2 bonuses for doctrine, and another 100% research bonus for aircraft. Any aircraft you want, you can get 100% research bonus on. And these are kind of air-based anti-air. Like, are you going to really be launching planes from Canada? Probably not. Like, probably you're fighting overseas. Like, these are kind of like useless focuses. But you have to take them to go down the tree. And then you get, again, quite a few research bonuses for your air. And then, again, so the tree you also have a focus. You can focus on the air, the Navy, or your Army. And whichever one you pick, you can only pick one of these. They're mutually exclusive. You can only pick one branch. But you'll get like a pretty nice buff. I think the Army one is probably like a little bit weaker with like planning speed, doctrine research, and like supply consumption is probably not as strong as like an additional 10% cost knocked off all your planes and like an additional 10% research speed. But you have it available, and then you're also going to get the 3 researches for rockets and jet technology. So if you wanted to rush jet planes, I mean you certainly get enough research bonuses to do it over here. Whether or not jet planes are going to be better than your fighter threes, that's will certainly have better range. But the fighter three I think is the highest agility in the game. So there's that. You have like a pretty strong air tree, very very powerful air tree. And then for the Navy's also really good. So you're going to get like a similar production cost, or similar to this, like similar to the one you get for air, right? And then you get some free dockyards, like a pretty nice number of free dockyards too, like 6 free dockyards, right? And again, a similar experience game buff, and another one over here. This is like kind of like the equivalent to like the ones over here, where like you can pay a little bit more to get some more dockyards, but you also get a national spirit that's going to give you 25% repair speed buff and refitting cost buff. So again, that's very nice. Refitting speed and refitting cost buff. So like if you want to like refit your Navy, maybe convert a dreadnought over an aircraft carrier or something like that. I mean you could do that. It's Canada's one of the countries that'd be more viable to do that with. If you want to come down over here and do some of these things quickly. And you get bonuses for whichever ships you want. But unfortunately, these bonuses are like pretty far down the tree. Like you have to commit pretty hard for your Navy before you decide to get like 2 of these bonuses for like destroyers or subs you get. So. And again, I think you get one over here, you get one over here. So you get like the same 10%. It's like again, like this is like again a pretty strong naval tree. And then you get the Army. So Army, your choices, like your main choice here is going to be the mobile warfare with JFC Fuller or superior firepower with Vanier. And again, like this is something you hear all the time too. Is like people will say like, well, superior is the best. Superior firepower is like the best doctrine. You should always pick superior firepower. I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment, but it is true that superior firepower is an extremely strong doctrine against the AI. But if you look at something like this, right, so your choice is either mobile warfare with JFC Fuller or superior firepower with Vanier. So if you look at what you get in their tree, right, like if you come down the Fuller plan, you're going to get your 2 bonuses for motorized and mechanized, and your 2 bonuses for tanks and armor production cost bonus, right? So you come down this, like if you want to play with tanks, and like probably you want to play with tanks because they're like the strongest land unit in the game is tanks, right? And you're like, well, should I pick superior firepower or mobile warfare? You got to remember that your armor research bonuses are under this mobile warfare tree, right? Kind of like the same with Russia. If you want that obnoxious focus that gives you the ahead of time tanks for you can get heavy tank 3 in 1940, you need to pick mobile warfare. And it's kind of like the same with Canada. If you want your ahead of time tanks, you're going to be picking mobile warfare. I mean, there is another one over here that you can get, but this is like pretty far down. And if you want your bonuses, you're picking mobile warfare. And you're like, yeah, sure, okay, you're going to get maybe 20% more attack if you pick superior firepower in your tank unit. But like, if you look at the difference between like, the Ram and the Grizzly, you know, and that's like, it's not just the doctrine, is what I'm getting at, right? It's like not just the benefits from your doctrine, it's also the other things down your mutually exclusive tree. And especially that if you can get like negative 10% on your mech and your armor, that's really nice to get if you're going to build mechanized units. So something to consider. And like on the other side, you go superior firepower, you're going to get like a huge number of bonuses to support equipment. Like if you want like all your different support companies and get some ahead of time like engineers and like like signals and like other good stuff like that, or logistics. Like there's a lot of good support companies, and like this gives you 3 bonuses for them. And then this gives you like another pretty nice national spirit. You're gonna get a Mountaineers Tech bonus, and then like some more organization and some spec force and multiplier. So, and like again, like another national spirit. This is also pretty nice, and infantry weapons bonus. So those are your choices. And once you're done those trees, and you've come down this entire tree over here, and like again, quite a few bonuses for infantry weapons, quite a few bonuses for support artillery. This gives you production cost bonuses, and you can build some more military factories. Same deal as the other ones. You pay some political power, you pay some civic usage, get a factory. You have some other factories over here, and then like another bonus for armor and light SPGs. Light SPGs is kind of weird that like it's specifically light SPGs you get a bonus for, but there it is. And then again like even more factories you can get over here, but if you want to pay for them. And then 2 doctrines, anything you want. And it's a bit unfortunate that this is like, you have to do all of this stuff before you get this, but you get it. And like you get another political fixer and and whatnot. And then like this side over here is like your invasion preparations. You get some coastal forts, which again is weird. If you're doing the invading, why would you defend, right? Like if you're going to be the aggressor, but it is what it is. So you got that. You get some manpower and political power, and again, manpower is at a premium, so 75,000 manpower counts for a lot. Within arm's reach, again, it's pretty nice national spirit for invasion. You do lose this after you retake your home isles, though. FYI. Project Plow, this unlocks your decision to declare war on the Union of Britain and gives you a couple of researches from Marines and transports. This one over here is like your free spy agency and a buff to your spy agency. And then contact the loyalists. So again, this gives you a nice national spirit, but also what it's going to do is give you a decision to fire a rebellion inside the Union of Britain once you land. And you get quite a few units, and like some of them are like veteran status too. They're pretty nice, but the problem with this focus is that it gives you mountaineers, and you can't disband them because they're like spawned by event units. You're not allowed to disband them, and mountaineers, especially for a small army like Canada, that's going to really eat up your special forces cap. So if you're like, I want to use this focus and I get stuck to those mountaineers, and like if you need Marines later on for something, or like you need Amtracs you want to use later on, like you're not going to be able to because your special forces cap is going to be sucked up by those mountaineer units. So you got to be careful with that one. But overall, like for you land, you pop this focus, and like right away you're in like a pretty good spot. It's like it's quite strong to just spawn a bunch of free units once you've already landed. This part of your tree over here, Americans at war. Like once the Civil War starts, you're gonna get some decisions on what you want to do with that. This is gonna let you like support a side or like choose to prepare to intervene directly. This gives you some recruitable population, mobilization speed, and you can like build some forts. And then you do this, and it's gonna lock your decision to like declare war on the combined syndicates, I believe. When this happens, the combined syndicates can start causing strikes and slow you down from like delay you attacking them. So like you gotta keep that in mind. And I'm not quite sure what this does, like in particular. I don't think I've ever taken this one. Not sure. I think this like invites them to your faction or something like that. Quid pro quo. You can also get that if you like if they demand the return of New England and you seize New England, you can say yeah, sure, I'll give it back to you if you join their faction. And sometimes they will. And like of course having America on your faction, even AI America, is like quite strong. So this will let you either annex or pop at New England if you decided to occupy them in the Civil War. And then like, a couple of these other events, like once you'll get like a refugee crisis, people crossing the border, and you take these and help you deal with that refugee crisis, and you get different options of like how much you want to help the refugees. This will give you some manpower. And this again, like I'm not quite sure what this one does. Like I don't think I've never taken it. So I think again it might be like invite them into your faction. Fully independent at peace. Yeah. I'm not sure. I guess it's if one of the conditions is that like they're in your faction. Obviously, it's not a faction invite, right? So I'm not sure. And then Return to the King. This is like once you've completed your ultimate campaign objective and you capitulated the Union of Britain, you own all your clay back again. Then you can do Return to the King, and that's going to tag switch you over to the United Kingdom, or to give you an event. You can choose to either be the UK or stay as Canada. And again, unfortunately, this tag switch is like one of the most poorly designed features in Kaiserreich, in my opinion. Like this is just so fucking disappointing. You're like, yeah, I reconquered the UK, I can be a superpower again. And it's like, no, you're not. You're gonna go and you're gonna take over the UK. And once you've done that, it's like first of all, the tag switch that you get, it fucking gutters being in Britain. Like I think you lose like almost all of your factories. You're like down to like a piddly number of factories, and like you have to rebuild. And then you're also gonna have like even worse than this. You're gonna have like I think it's like negative 60% on all your shit. You have to deal with. You have to pay like a bunch of political power and like reconstruction decisions and like do a bunch of reconstruction focuses to like clear that. So it's like I think it's about like 2 years, maybe even a little bit longer. That's gonna take you to like become back in business and like have all your factories built up and like so like you actually do something. And like another thing to note, when you tag switch over, you don't get any army, you don't get any air force, you don't get any navy. If you want a navy, there's like an event chain where you can wait for fucking ever to get some refurbished Canadian and Australian ships. You'll have like an itty bitty navy, and you can get like I think 400 planes, like a kind of starter air force. And like when you tag switch over, they're nice enough to spawn you like not even a full stack you get. I think it's like 18 or 19 units, and they're all going to be like pretty shitty 7 infantry battalion infantry units and 2 like light tank units at half strength. So your army's going to be shit. You have no air force, you have no navy. Your economy is in tatters, and it's going to take you like another like 2.5 to like like another probably 2 to 2.5 years of fucking clicking national focuses and reconstruction decisions before you can do anything again. So it's like accomplish your objective, tag switch over, and sit in timeout. Sit in Reconstruction 30 timeout for like 2.5 years. It's fucking stupid. Yeah, sorry. And like if you compare that to like National France, you take your clay back, you're like an instant superpower. It's like a lot smoother and like a lot less dull in terms of like gameplay. And sort of the big deal is once you've tag switched over like that, you're in this like helpless state, right? And you're like completely at the mercy of the AI. And if France decides to do something dumb, like maybe they only took a few provinces in their peace deal and they decided they wanted to declare war on the German Empire for the rest of their land, well, that's bad for you, isn't it, right? It's like you just gotta really hope you don't just get naval invaded and just fucking die from Germany. So that's that. So if you do decide you want to tag switch over, you're gonna want to make sure that you do that quickly so you can get your reconstruction out of the way, because it's basically like a second interwar build-up period that you're gonna have to go through. And the UK is quite strong. Like once it gets rolling, you're gonna get some pretty badass national spirits that are gonna give you like you're gonna get all of these buffs. Like you get your focus buff back. You be able to take that. You be able to recover most of the good national spirits you have as Canada. You get some pretty obnoxious like production buffs too. Like you get like additional armor production buff, and like I think one of them is like 150% dockyard output that you can get. Like they're pretty strong, but the flip side of that is like if you take it over too early, I don't think the UK gets any like research bonuses for like a lot of things. Uh, So, like, if you're going to tag switch over early, you want to make sure you probably start researching an ahead of time take as Canada with one of these bonuses. So that way you can at least license it as the UK when you tag switch over. Something to think about. So, in any case, when you start playing Canada, you're trying to come up with your strategy. It's like there's like a number of things that you got to consider, right? So it's like your first one is like whether or not you want to go to extensive conscription or not. And if you do, the trade-off is you're going to have Quebec in flames that you're going to have to deal with, right? It is possible to reclaim the home island over here without going to extensive conscription. Like, so if you look at like Britain, it's like your front line is like not that large for most of it, and you're going to get free divisions from that event firing. So you don't really need a huge army to take the Union of Britain out, as long as they're not like castled onto the fort or castled onto their island with like forts and stuff like that. Like when you stake your landing, and once you stick your landing, you can kind of bully them out of the way if you have like stronger units than them. And Canada has like quite a few research bonuses to get like pretty strong units, right? So like that's like your first decision is whether or not you're gonna want to go extensive conscription. Like I would probably recommend that like you pick your party according to like the conscription law that you want. Like I wouldn't go paternal autocrat, but if you decide that you wanted to do extensive conscription, probably just go conservative. I think the suppress the Quebecois thing is probably like less painful than the amount of political power you're gonna have to pay coming down this route. And if you want to stay volunteer only, then you might as well just go market liberal. I think you're gonna get the most political power that way as market liberal. And I don't think you also lose anything from like choosing to do volunteer only in the Bill C7 because that wasn't your party platform to go to conscription anyways. So there's that. And then the other one you're going to want to consider too is like, do you want to do the tag switch? Do you want to be the UK or you want to stay as Canada? So if you decide that you want to play as the UK, like I said, you're going to want to make sure that you capitulate Union of Britain as fast as possible and start doing their road legitimacy so that like you get your peace conference and you take your land back. So that you can go and deal with your reconstruction that you're gonna have to do as fast as possible. If not, then maybe a better strategy is to try and kill the commune to France first. So there's that. Like that's gonna affect how you want to play your game. And the other one is what you're going to want to do with the American Civil War. So you're going to get the option to seize Alaska and seize New England. And it's up to you if you want to do that. Like New England is like pretty nice to have on your team. They're a pretty decent ally. You won't have them as a puppet for very long, unfortunately. But they are a pretty decent ally to get. And then, Alaska, there's really not all that much in Alaska, but yeah, there's probably not really much reason to seize Alaska, but I think you can get. I don't think it lowers American opinion of you in the same way that New England does. But if you decide to seize these things, right, America's gonna fucking hate you, like a lot, like to the point where they're not even gonna allow you to send volunteers. So if you seize New England, you're gonna have to do like this intervention debate focus to like recognize someone as legitimate government for them to actually like care about you enough to allow volunteers to fight for them. So keep that in mind, right? And if you don't, like you let things play out as they are, then like you'll probably have at least one of the factions that's going to be like, okay, the Canadians aren't that bad, and you'll be allowed to send them volunteers. You're probably the Feds you'd want to pick because they have the border with the CSA. And then if you decide you want to try and cripple the CSA with your volunteers for free and not have to spend any time doing these focuses like on this side, then that's probably the route you want to take. Just you don't bother seizing any of this stuff. They'll like you using consensus volunteers, and like you're gonna try and use like your tank volunteer division to like beat back the CSA and take Chicago. Otherwise, you can seize that stuff, and if you do this, you recognize someone, then like usually they'll let you send volunteers, right? And then you'll also get the volunteer max divisions +3, so you can send more of them. So if you want to influence the Civil War without like going to war, then coming down this way might not be a bad idea. But it is like another 2 focuses you're gonna have to do if you want to do that. And this side you're gonna have to deal with regardless. Like if you take New England, it's another focus you're gonna have to deal with. But if you don't take New England, this will bypass, and you'll still be able to do this stuff to deal with the refugee crisis. Yeah, so that's like pretty much it in terms of like Canada's like starting position. Like when we start the timer, like I'll take a look at our navy, but those are like kind of the decisions that you want to make. And I think for the purposes of this playthrough, I'm going to try and focus on like taking back the islands like pretty quickly. And as a result, if you saw from our last playthrough, the American Civil War is usually like still going on in like the early mid 1940s. Like it's usually not too big of a threat, or like if the CSA does start to win, like usually you can kind of like have mopped up over here, and then if you have to deal with that when that comes, and like your team should be strong enough to just like take out the CSA without it being too much of an issue. So I'm not going to worry too much about the American Civil War, I don't think. And, maybe I'll get burned for that. I'm going to focus on just trying to get the home islands back as fast as possible, and I think I will do the tag switch. So I think I'm going to try and go with the market liberals this time. Do volunteer only market liberals, and yeah. So like we'll see how that goes for us. We'll see how that goes for us. Like I said, we don't need a huge amount of units, and yeah, yeah. So I have done market liberal or volunteer only before, but like I played that and we went through France and like we dealt with the commune of France first, and we took the home island, and then you go for round 2 versus the Kaiser. But I'm gonna try and take the islands quickly this time, and then like do the whole reconstruction focus, and like maybe play like the mid to late game as the UK. That's gonna be my objective. We'll see if we can accomplish that. So researches, I'm gonna go with light tank 2 right off. And if we're going to declare an early war against the Union of Britain, then probably we're going to want to have light tank 2 as like our main units. Probably going to be light tanks at that point in time. Like I think I probably want to try and beat out, like maybe do a little bit of a rush using the Project Plow thing before Well Creek 2 starts, and that way if we beat the Union of Britain, I don't have to worry about Germany like coming into the peace deal and trying to snipe bits of my land. Maybe we'll give that a go. And this is like a build I haven't tried before, so we'll see how things play out. It might not go exactly as I planned. Like I'm a little bit worried about whether or not our Navy, and depending how the AI uses their Navy, whether or not we'll be able to actually beat enough of these guys' fleets over here to like be able to stick a landing. So we'll see. Again, like you're never sure which flips you're gonna get. Like getting Ireland would be real nice, but if not, we'll have to wait for Portugal to join up and like invade from Portugal. So again, we'll see how that goes. So we're gonna pick up our light tank. Doctrine, we're going to go with mobile warfare. And mobile warfare is nice for like the volunteer only market liberal thing, because like if things start going a little bit poorly, like down your doctrine tree, you can start picking up the extra 5% recruitable population down here. And that's going to help shore you up quite a bit. So we'll go for that. Other things we're going to go for are, I think I'm going to pick up this machine tools technology. And then I think I'm going to go for the mech computing over the construction tech, because like we only have one civilian factory that's actually building stuff right now. So like this construction tech isn't going to be, construction tech wouldn't be all that helpful to start out with. Whereas like the research tech, then that'll be nice to get. And I think for national focus order, I think I'm going to start and we'll go and. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to get like a decent tank rush in. And the kind of like the way the focus tree works is that you can get like, I think it's after you do the King's Speech, you can take 3 of these focuses and still have enough time to do all this stuff. So you can do Bill C7 kind of at the same time your election finishes and this unlocks, which is kind of probably I think what you'd want to do. And this gives you 1 research bonus again on your industry tech. So this is kind of like you don't really want to take this all that early. Like so again, first of all, we only have 1 civilian factory, so we couldn't really build those factories with that decision that we were going to get anyways. But this is also going to modify our Great Depression by negative 10% and give us some more factory output and so on and so forth. But then also like the research bonus isn't going to be that high value, because it's going to be applied to something that's like not ahead of time, right? So let's see here. I'm just gonna go for like some army stuff first. get our army experience, maybe get our doctrine research bonus, and maybe come down to let's see. Maybe we'll just get the tank research bonuses anyway. Maybe we can get some medium tanks or something. Like, I'll come down, we'll grab these 3, and then I think we will, yeah, we'll go do the Bill C7 stuff, and then we'll come down here and try the clear our economy, and then hopefully that'll give us time to research some of these things, so those bonuses aren't going to be wasted. I think that's what we're going to do for a focus order. So let's go ahead and get the game started. And I got to think about the stuff a little bit because again, like it's like a plan I haven't really tried before. So I got to think about like what's going to get us like the most bang for a buck. Other option we could do is I could try and get some of these Navy tax, like get a few extra dockyards might be nice. You know, actually that might be the better play. Do the overhaul of the Navy and get some more ships and some dockyards might be better. This is going to be the event that's going to describe our current situation. We kind of already talked about that, so you can read this event if you want. Current situation, again, more kind of things we already talked about. It's going to talk about the the liberals versus the conservatives and like that whole dynamic. And so on and so forth, getting pumped up for the new election and see if we're going to support the Empire or the Liberals. So we'll see how that goes. I think I'm going to go with Army. Well, at least do this one, and I don't know. You know what? Maybe I'll just bite the bullet and do this first. Observer rights and legation councils. We don't have voting rights. Yes, observer rights. And King George is dead, so we can go ahead and do People Must Reject This Madness. That's Mosley's event. And you're going to get this thing, this is like the Transmur sends an emissary over, and you can choose to either give him 100 guns and this or that, or... Transmur can join the Entente, I think, but it's like a pretty extreme long shot that they actually win. If you're not familiar, Transmur is like this... this guy over here, Admiral Kolchak, is like pretending that he's like supreme leader of Russia, but like he only actually has like this little itty bitty slice down here. And he's trying to take it back. I think we'll just give him the 100 guns, sure, whatever. Good luck, Kolchak. You know, hopefully you remember that if you decide to be king of Russia. We'll do this first. I think this is like 93 days off. I think I'm gonna go, and I will do. We'll do the first army one. He's over here. This will be 42 days. And then we'll do like this one over here, and that'll be 42 days, and that should make sure that we can at least use this on like the 1937 technology. And because I'm just thinking, like, if I want to go fast, I'm not gonna have a whole lot of time to do like these army trees. Like, you're gonna want to do these ones over here to get to Project Plow. And we definitely do want to fix our economy up. So yeah, I think we're just gonna have to live with the fact that some of these are going to be lower value researches and just come down this tree. But we will try. We'll do the first one first, anyways, just as we will need it, and then that'll let us have a little bit more value out of this research slot. Maybe use this to get the next production efficiency tech. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. These are things you got to think about when you play this game, So, our Afghans decided to declare war against India. And this is like, King George V has died, the Indians are sad, and the Afghans want to kick them while they're down. So we're going to get called into that. Usually there's like not much point to like send anything over here. Like Dominion of India usually crushes the Afghanis like pretty hard, pretty fast. But you might be able to get some air experience out of it, so we'll send some planes over. And it looks like in France the Sorelians have won. So I have Georges Valois over here, so he's going to be warmongering pretty hard against Germany. It's interesting. Yep, so there we go, call to arms, and now we get hit with Black Monday, so our economy is like even worse. Not as bad as Germany, but like, you know, that, not great, not great. And now we have no steel from Australasia. And King Edward is going to support the war and, you know, endorse, I guess it's going to help out Bennett. Unfortunately, we want Mackenzie King in as, you know, as the Liberals, so, yeah, not great, not a great event. And where's my planes at? I just banned them, that's right. I'll go grab some planes, we'll send them over to India, and like, usually this is like a waste of fucking time, so. Like you disband them, you put them back into war again, so, okay, that's, you know, it's fine. So I'll have these guys come over to India. Oh, you gotta deploy first. King's speech, Empire withdraws from Italy, like the usual events. King's first address, so we can either prepare the nation for war, endorse conservatives, or support the Canadian government. So this is like paternal autocrat, conservative, market liberal. So we're going to go with the market liberal option here. And our next focus, I think we said we were going to go do this army one. And we're going to get 5% market liberalism. We're going to lose 5% war support, but we're going to get some stability and 100 political power. So that's pretty nice. And then we're going to take that political power, we're going to go up to early mobilization, get us kind of offset that 5% factories we just lost. And what are we missing? We need steel. So, do this. And get one from Australasia. Maybe two from Australasia. Yeah, we'll do that. So decisions available. Oh, I forgot to direct the exiles. What am I thinking? We'll have them help our industry out so we can get a free off-map factory at the end of the year. So we'll do that. And don't need war propaganda. Okay, planes. Send these guys over to India. And again, maybe they'll get some experience, right? So Marshal Wu Peifu is back to Nanjing, so that's nice for Nanjing. And we'll have like the usual civil war in China. They're still doing the trade union congress there in Britain. Gallo seizes control of Ecuador. So, and Australasia has restored democracy. I guess Gallo's like your military dictator in Ecuador, and he'll seize control to try and prepare the nation to defend against Peru a little bit better. Pope is dead. Happens every game. We'll see who they elect. Let's actually see if our navy's grouped up already. Well, looks like it has. I rid of election issue, so well, these are just a lot of pop-ups. These First International Congress, so that's like the Third International are having their first powwow over there. We've seen that before. We did our other playthroughs. Rid of election issues. This is going to give us a head up of the election that's going to happen in 36. So there's that. The Moyne Commission. So this is like a Caribbean colony down over here. And we're going to send someone over to take a look at some of the problems they're having, some of the instability issues that they're having, and surely everything is fine in their Caribbean colony, right? Let's hope that thing that works out okay. But I'll give you a hint, it's not. It's like West Indies Federation is like pretty fucked up, and this is gonna come back and bite us in the ass with interest. So yeah, Navy. That's right, we're at Navy. So we'll put our subs together. So we have 21 submarines and a couple improved ones. I think we have like one large submarine. Yeah, we'll pull that out. We might need that for naval range later. And like a bunch of these like shitty Wall Creek subhulls. So I mean, like, this is like a pretty tiny submarine fleet compared to the other countries that we've played so far. But it's something. It's something at least. I think the rest of this is like all surface ships. So we have, let's see here, we have 2 carriers. These are like experimental carrier hulls. They only have like 20 deck space, so like pretty shitty carriers. Like, to be honest, it's like it's not really worth fielding or building carrier planes for. So we'll just bench those. We have 1, 2, 3 dreadnoughts, and these are all like the Magnificent class. And this is, I think, it's a 2-turret variant. Yeah, they only have 2 batteries, so not quite as strong as like the flagships that, like, I think Union of Britain has one that has 3, and the Kaiser Wilhelm class that Germany has 3. But they're still dreadnoughts, right? No. We got a line going on there. But they're still dreadnoughts, right? So that's pretty good. Armored cruisers, again, like kind of like the same deal. I think like most countries have like the same sort of starting designs. And some of your battle cruisers are also like mislabeled, and they've got this like armored cruiser 2 armor and whatnot. Yeah, like this is armored cruiser armor, but it still has like the battle cruiser tag. So like, I don't know, it's a bit weird. But you wind up with 20 battleships, 3 dreadnoughts, 3 capital class cruisers, 28 light cruisers, and like 81 destroyers. So like your navy by far is like your best asset. This is like, in terms of starting fleets go, this is like pretty good. And so we have 28 and 81 for our screens. And like I usually like to try and have like around 5 or 6 screens per capital, just to have like a little bit extra in case we have casualties or we take penalties. So we can probably support around 18 capitals with that. So and we're at 23 right now, so probably want to stick 5 not counting the cruisers. So definitely we'd want to bench our cruisers. Again, that might be useful if we have to do like a long naval invasion. That might be useful to like stick these out as like a fleet to get naval supremacy, and then probably like 5 of these. We'll pull out 5 of the weaker battleships. So this is like a level 1 design on the Queen Victoria class, or Queen Elizabeth class. This is like a level 1 design here on the Revenge. I think the Nelson class, yeah, this is a bit better. This is like a level 2 design, so we definitely want to keep the Nelson class. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these guys. Pull those out. I think we'll go with like this is like our death stack, and if we have to pull destroyers off for escort, we'll have to reduce our number of capital ships accordingly. But I think we'll go with this for now. And we may need like we may need to do something for an escort fleet later. We're making some destroyers though, I think. Yeah, so we're making some destroyers, and we'll see what we can do with how many ships we have at wartime. We have like some pretty decent admirals too. Like, I'm gonna go with let's assign someone now. I'm just gonna go with this guy. He just seems to be a bit better. He's got 2 traits. This guy only has the 1. And like subs, usually I use these for spotting, so we'll just go with this guy over here. Like visibility -20 is usually pretty good, so we'll take that. Okay, let's continue with the game. So we get to pick our chief of army. So we can either choose this guy over here. He's going to give us division organization and supply consumption, or we can choose this over here, which is going to lower our market liberal popularity a little bit, but he's also going to give us the armored spearhead doctrine, which is probably maybe a little bit better. And I'm not sure if we pick one or the other, if that's going to lock us out of the plan or whatnot, but let's just go with Fuller. Like I said, probably going to go mobile warfare, so we'll just pick his plan. And then we're going to go do Crown Corporations, I think we said. And you have next 100 political power. We're going to go and move our economy law up again. And we've got Pope Pius. And I think that's like the paternal autocrat Pope, so doesn't really matter much for us. Yeah, paternal autocrats. And King was beaten pretty soundly this time, it looks like. Nanjing has snuffed them out. Yeah, it's a pretty scary looking Nanjing right now. All right, got the Stanley Cup, and we'll see if either Toronto or Detroit is going to come out on top there. And of course, Toronto. And if you're a hockey fan, you kind of know that Toronto doesn't really win all that lot. Like I don't think they've won a Stanley Cup, and like I'm not like the youngest guy around, and I don't think they've even won a Stanley Cup since I've been alive. So, Toronto, but they can win in the video game. That's nice to see. And Bennett's opened his mouth accusing liberals of like not doing shit and fixing the economy or whatever, like the usual like political back talk. As if he could do a better job, right? Like as if he could go and like wave his hand and like eliminate the depression, right? But it's always easy to like sling mud from the sidelines, And Edwards had his coronation, so he's gonna be a little bit more popular now. Looks like we're gonna get some stabilities, and he can also go and do those tour events that we were talking about. Machine tools. Get our. I think I'm gonna go with concentrated. Because we're gonna be going pretty fast, so I want to. I'm gonna capture the British operative. That's nice. You want the most stuff for timing. I don't think I'm gonna have a whole lot of time to do these researches to get like this, the better stuff. So, Crown Corporation's focus. We got that. Let's do the. We can do I think one more focus before. Yeah, we can do one more focus thing before we need to start doing this stuff over here. So I'm gonna pick the IEDC. Or maybe better to come over here and do the ISAC and get the research slot. I'll just get we'll work on our economy and get the civilian goods. And then this is an event here. CCF is like a meme party. They're like social democrats. Ooh, even syndicalists. Gross. But they're like a fringe political party. And they're appealing to the unemployed. Yeah, no democratic socialism here. That'd be unacceptable. And have decisions over here. Let's go ahead and start building that Crown Corporation. See, this costs us 90 days, 3 civilian factories we lose, and 25 political power. America wants us to pay some money that we owe them, but we weren't supposed to do that until after we've retaken our home isles. And they're just going to have to be disappointed about that. Sylvia Pankhurst. That's interesting. So I think that's like one of the newer options. Like I think that used to be like Annie Kenny or something was the Congregationist leader, but I guess now they've got this Sylvia Pankhurst person. So okay. And there. So the Moyne Commission has come back, and they've said to us everything does in fact suck in our Caribbean colonies, and they're gonna have to do something about it. I guess before I forget too, so like when the American Civil War kicks off, like have these guys like maybe the Marines will be like okay for this. We'll just put these guys over here, and we'll have these guys come down here to Kingston, and plan a naval invasion from here to Panama. Yeah, we'll send our submarines over there too. It's like when the American Civil War starts, like there's a chance that Panama is going to seize the canal, and we'll have the option to like go to war with them to like take it back and maybe get another puppet over here. So that's pretty nice to see. Puppets also spawn divisions, right? It's like we can go to West Indies Federation. They have 6 divisions we could take. Panama's probably going to have 2 divisions, and like when you're on market liberal volunteer only mode, like having another 8 divisions is can be pretty helpful. We'll set some guys over there, and then also we might wind up with some Caribbean entanglements. These guys might rebel, and it's nice to have some troops in position to kind of deal with that quickly. So we'll do that, and then hopefully, like if America has the 4-way gangbang, we can also seize Puerto Rico, and we can pop up Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico can have a surprising number of divisions, like. Not like a huge amount, but like they could have like 6 or 7 divisions when Well Creek 2 starts, so that's nice to have as a puppet as well. When you tag switch over to the UK, you do get to keep all your puppets. So like when you're kind of in your vulnerable cocoon trying to rebuild yourself up, you can like pull some puppet divisions, and that can help you not die. So there's that. What else is going on? Kuomintang uprising. So it's still just the unpleasantness in China. Looks like Kuomintang is not going to do so hot. All right, so we're going to have the conscription debate. And again, this is more background on when we're doing our Bill C7 draft, whether or not we're going to conscript or not. And the Quebecois are adamant that they not be conscripted. All right, we got our Matilda tank. So we'll do that, and let's go ahead and get our first construction tech, I guess. I think we're starting to have like a few. Well, once we start, we're getting to the point where like we're gonna get a bonus over here, and you want to make that worthwhile. And also like once we start hitting these crown corporations and whatnot, we're gonna have like an okay civilian industry, so like we can get that tech now. It's not too bad. And we'll go and get our Matilda tank, and we're down 1 steel. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's fine. This is we want probably destroyers more than convoys. Manuel Carlos assumes full control of Argentina. And Italy has went for syndicalist, Orthodox syndicalist. And this is like a famous exile, and he's died, and he's going to take 20 political power with him, so that sucks. IEDC, so we're going to get that. We're going to get the -5% consumer goods, and like I said, it's like you get the political power, you lose political power, and it goes into that little bank there. And let's do the fate of the Senate. Oh, King Edward, slacking on the job. Gonna lose some popularity. So, there goes that. And we're gonna start inviting people into the IEDC, and like we can spend that bank political power. Got that. Invite everyone. Coup d'etat, Siam. Ooh. Looks like the Iron Marshal. Alright, got that. I don't think I've ever had anyone here actually like, straight up say no, we're not joining. And they'll give us some political power. Demonstrating it at King Speech, so a little bit of political violence. We're going to say that the market liberals were in the right there. You can read that event if you want. Excellent, we got Sardinia. So yeah, White Sun over China event. So it's like someone wrote a book favoring the syndicalists. Let's invest in ourselves. Like we're a good person to invest in. And let's get a military factory. Actually, I think we could use one on tank. Got that. And let's also invest in probably our most important ally is going to be probably the French. So we'll also invest in the French. So we'll do that. They'll get a free factory too. So that's nice. March against conscription. We get some popularity off that. We lose some stability. Okay, our mech computing. Let's see, what do I want from this technology actually? Pre-updating all this stuff. Like I think if we're going to war early, it might be worth it to start picking up some of these techs over here, or maybe get a naval doctrine. Let's go with our naval doctrine, like because we're going to be fighting with a surface fleet. Like probably the best thing we're going to be able to get here is like the visibility buffs for over here and the battleship organization and whatnot. So let's go for a naval doctrine. Our fleet might need some help, so we'll do that. Fate of the Senate. So fate of the Senate, you can either choose some stability and political power, or you can choose a whole lot of political power and influence of the British exiles that will increase. Or you can do this reform, which I think is like a dice roll on whether or not you get political power or not. So I think I'm going to go and just take the stability and the political power here. Privy Council. Poland elects a new king. Who have they gone with? Karol Olbracht. I think that's is it like a Habsburg? I'm not sure. Poland. Yep, they've done a von Habsburg. So that's, I think, aligns them with Austria or something. So we'll see what Poland does this game. And Nanjing has eaten left Kuomintang. So, whew. Pretty spicy game from Nanjing here. I guess they didn't get hit by Shandong, so that's nice. And they can have a rough time in the four-way. Compromise with America. So you can either choose to pay 100 political power or gain 25 political power and some more support at the cost of pissing off the United States of America. So America is like a pretty good spot to send volunteers, and we also going to want to send an attaché to someone over here. So we might want to have their opinion with us, like, not outraged. But it's going to cost us 100 political power. And, you know, this also might make them more likely to join your faction. I'm not sure if that works or not. I don't know. It's like, I'm just going to pay this. I want to make sure that we can at least get an attaché there to get some army experience. West Indies wants a ship. Okay, I don't think there's anything bad in that for us, so we'll do that. And Bennett is gone, and he has decided to inflict some violence on the media. We'll say he's an embarrassment. You know, you can't. We want some party popularity, so we'll smear him. And Maurice Duplessis, he's, I guess, a Quebecois nationalist or something like that. He really hates conscription, and he's been elected as premier. And he's going to start agitating. The jerk. And there's the Syndicalist Art Show folk event. Nationalist Party, so again, like another fringe party, and that's going to just, you know, leech some party popularity. Alright, so we can choose, for the Privy Council, we can have, I think this is like the Prime Minister of the Exiles or something like that, so you can have King pick the guy, and it'll increase exile influence and get us this guy over here, which gives us division attack 3% and war support 8%, the cost of political power, so that's like okay. Moderate choice with political power, and he's going to give us political power gain and recruitable population %. Or we can do organize the vote from the king, we'll get this guy over here, and we'll get some stability and division recovery rate. Let's see. Recruitable population factor, unfortunately, is like going to be pretty shitty for us, because like volunteer only gives us only 1.5%, so an extra 5% of that's like not a whole lot. I think we'll just go with this over here and get some stability and party popularity. The Imperial Conference, and like this is like, again, this is like that event that we're gonna have, and like we'll be able to choose a buff, and you know our allies will all be able to choose a buff too. And then build C7. So it's October and we're in September, so like this should finish up. I think pretty close to when we get our elections. We can just go right into it. Belgium has declared independence, so that's interesting. They could ask for our protection. If we do that and Germany decides to go to war with them, though, that could drag us into an early war with the Reichspakt, so that might not be the greatest idea. So, the British exiles. Conflict with the British exiles. So, let's see here. Dispute solely rearing its head at the Canadian military circles, namely who holds ultimate command over those British expatriates which are currently supported and housed within the Canadian Armed Forces. Normally the exiles and Canadian government would work together on these matters, but there are several sticking points which are refusing to go away, and neither side appears ready to give an inch. So we can either support the government and lose 10% more support. We support the exiles, we lose party popularity and political power. Or we can let the chips fall where they may, which seems like, I don't know, kind of like it's like a compromise, it looks like. Let's support the Canadian government, I guess. Like, I think war support's probably a bit easier to get. So Congress of Orel. Ooh. So the Belgium has decided not to stay in the Reichspakt. We'll see how that works out for them. Good luck. Edmund Allenby dies. Oh man, like a political power situation right now is like pretty rough. Like I'm kind of starting to regret like just a little bit on helping the Americans there. We'll be in a better spot once we pass Bill C7 and like we don't enact conscription and like this goes away, because this is sucking up quite a bit of political power game. And we're gonna have the Liberals win, like I said here. So this is our election event. We can either have like this coalition government, we can have the Conservatives, or we can have the Liberals win. So we're gonna pick the Liberals, and like they'll give us like pretty high party popularity. So we'll have lots of political power, which we're gonna need, and we're gonna get 10% stability. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, King Edward, for supporting our man there. Alright, so we got Imperial Conference. And we're going to say Canada is key to retaking the home isles. And that's going to give us like a nice buff. It'll clear our political power problems. We'll do that. Draft Bill C7. And the Imperial Conference. So again, you can read these events if you want to, but they're going to have a conference with our former Imperial members. And also we're going to start debating Bill C7. So the West Indies have asked for help with their, I guess with their army and equipment and training and whatnot. I get that. The Indians want research speed buff, so okay, there you go. I'll get that. And the Australasians want some economic help, so they'll get that buff. I think if you choose to support your colonies rather than yourself, they'll get better buffs, so you'll get like a lesser buff. Bill C7, national conscription. We'll keep our promise and not enact conscription. Yes, God save the king indeed. Construction. Our next construction attack. Yeah, so we're chugging away with our chugging away a bit more now. And let's pick up our next Crown Corporation. Future of Canada's this industry. You can either choose 25 political power and we'll compromise, or we can choose CDHOW, which will give us civilian industry and building slots, and this will give us civilian industry and arms factories. So I think if we're going to try for a rush, we probably want the compromise plan. So we're going to go with the compromise here. We'll also get 25 political power, which will let us build another arms factory. So that's, there you go, right? Sometimes things work out like that. And that's like that Eastern Chinese, or Western Chinese gangbang over here. That might be an interesting area to play. Like I don't think I haven't played there at all. Like when I was playing China, I only did I did Qing, I did Nanjing. Democratic left, victorious in Brazil. Closet syndicalists, bunch of filthy closet syndicalists. Domestic security, so you can choose who you want to be in charge of your secret police. And you can choose between getting a hit of political power and taking a big hit to party popularity, or just taking a minor hit to party popularity, or no secret police. So secret police give you like a pretty nice buff to like resistance growth and so on and so forth. I don't know. Like I think we'll just go with LaPont here. And like our political popularity is like pretty high, so like we can afford to lose a bit. Captured an American operative. Huh. I wonder if America starts with a spy agency or if they just built that. Probably not a great move to build yourself a spy agency. Yeah, Kumulkana is a bit they've bit it. We got 300 light tanks. We might want to start like I'll delete this. I think I'll go to our motorized brigade here and maybe start like turning this into like a bit less of a silly armored division. I need 600 tanks for that though. What this? Gonna do that? close. So that's kind of like the best we can do at the moment. I think, well, I don't know. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. I think we'll probably want to be working off this as our template. So, we'll do that. Italian government falls. There's ANI. Have they lost their war against Venice? Is that it, or no? Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. Who's their leader? This guy over here. Well, his government's fucked, so he didn't do a great job, and his government's fallen. So that's unfortunate. Bill C7. Nice. Here. Bill C7 has passed. So you can see, like, depending on like the choices that you make in the Bill C7, you get some nice buffs here, right? So we get 100 political power. Because we went with limited conscription, we're going to get additional 5 special forces minimum capacity and organization 10%. So yeah, that's pretty nice to have. And then we're going to get the compromised economic plan, which will give us negative 5% consumer goods, some more factories in our state, and a factory output, document output buff, and a military and civilian factory, and a building slot. And then we're going to get the Mounties, which will give us 5% stability and 10% less damage to garrisons. And we'll get a Minister of the Interior that's going to give us construction speed and political power gains. Like, all in all good. Everything's in the green, nothing red there. Pretty nice buffs to get from doing that focus. So, like, it doesn't tell you this is what you get. Like, this is like another problem with Canada. Like, even with like the IEDC, right? They're like not really clear on what you get from when you pick these focuses. So it's kind of a piss off. But like, obviously, these are substantial bonuses. Like, if you didn't know Bill C7 did that, maybe you delayed it, and that would definitely be a bad choice. So there you go. Got that. Got there. All right, let's do this relief camp thing and like help our economy out a little bit more. Yeah, concentrated 2. Let's go for our next set of machine tools. Event decisions timeout. Yeah, so there's like a vote in the legation council, but like, again, we don't have a vote, so it doesn't really matter. French tensions lessen, so we'll get some stability and we will get some political power costs back from the Anglo-French tensions, and that'll go away completely after a while. So that's pretty nice. I'm gonna switch these units over to let's go with the usual division. So we have, I think, 5 of those. Let's do that. Bolshemar has capitulated. Republic declared in Serbia. Trade for another steel. There are federal relief camps, and let's go for the another set of factory boosts. Cairo Congress, Belgrade Pact. Things are starting to heat up over here then. So exiles at work. This is again from that direct the exiles thing. So let's get ourselves a free civilian factory, and then we can direct the exiles again this year. So we'll do that, and we'll have them focus on assisting the Canadian government. So we'll get 25 political power, and we'll get this like exiles buff over here, which is going to get stability and political power gain. So again, pretty nice to have. Standoff in America, and that's like the usual American like Civil War event. And people seem to like the British exiles, so their popularity is going to increase, and the stability of the situation in America. So wow, this is wow, that's a bit of a unicorn there, boys. Like, look at that, we got that two-way American Civil War between President Olson and the Combined Syndicates of America. So it's going to be like a pretty scary Combined Syndicates of America, probably. Yeah, so I think we might want to help the Americans out there. Yep, situation in America. the Greeks don't want to sell us any steel. That's fine. We'll rather trade with the French anyways, probably, all things considered. So we'll do that. Let's go. Keep on going for that. You know, Finland joins the Reichspakt. Serbia declares war in Bulgaria. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start building some of these actual factories now. Guangxi military government has capitulated. It's like this is like a pretty tiny amount of fuel, and the Balkan War is kicked off. I think I will trade oil with the West Indies Federation. Like, you can get 14 oil from them for free, so, or like one factory. So we'll do that and start filling up our stockpile, hopefully. Americans at war. Okay. Second American Civil War. America in chaos. So we can choose to either move into New England, or we can hold off on any intervention. These guys have a +20 opinion of us. You know, let's hold off on that. Hold off on that, and let's go to America, and we want to make sure that we send these guys. Send attaché. And once they accept that, I'll go and try and send them some volunteers. What's their tank count like? We have 200 more tanks. And that's pretty close anyway, so. Send volunteers. Send volunteers. And unfortunately, Canada's like a one volunteer. Did not pick anyone. Yeah, I'll have to. I screwed that up. We'll do this. Let's get this other set over here. We'll build these crown corporations. So we'll have to have 2 armored divisions. Unfortunately, I can only send 1. So send some of these guys. Sell some army XP, hopefully. This is usually like pretty bad for like the U.S. though. Like CSA is gonna be real strong. Like look at that buff. Look at that buff that they get. Oof. I think America's gonna get some. Yeah. Get a little bit of debuffs here. So. You know, yeah, Alaska's on its own. Like, let's not piss off the Americans. So we'll send some volunteers there and see what we can get done. Like, we have like another tank we can send to Spain, if, you know, when that pops up. If that pops up, which, you know, again, hopefully it does. All right, so the Conservatives have decided to switch their leadership around. Let's train a couple infantry divisions, maybe. And it looks like Panama has opted not to seize the canal, so like the stuff over here is not going to really matter all that much. Let's have these guys train a bit, though. Japanese ambassador becomes High Commissioner in Shanghai. And I'm going to stop the video here and resume. We're running out of time on this recording.